What is the key to forgiveness? Giving up your demand for a better past. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood concepts in psychology, but it's also a very important part of our mental health. I'm Dr. Paul Jenkins. I'm a professional psychologist, and here's a take on forgiveness that has served me really well through my career. First, let's talk about 3 common misconceptions about forgiveness, and then why giving up our demand for a better past might be a good alternative. Misconception number 1. Forgiveness means saying that it's okay. Do you remember when you were a little kid? I experienced this where my brother would do something that hurt me. And mom would tell him, okay, tell him you're sorry. And my brother would say, I'm sorry. Or maybe it wasn't even very sincere. I'm sorry, gosh. And then it was my job at that point, I thought, to say, it's okay. Well, maybe it's not okay. Maybe it's not okay for people to hurt us. And forgiveness is not saying that it's okay. That's why I'm calling it a misconception. And here's another one. Forgiveness is granting a pardon to the offender. It's kind of like saying that it's okay, right? But letting them off the hook for misbehavior. Is that what forgiveness is? I'm calling that one a misconception as well. I don't think you have that kind of authority. What if someone breaks the law? All right, do you have the authority to tell that person, oh, well, you're off the hook for that? You don't have that kind of authority. What if that person violates some kind of a moral standard? Do you have the authority to tell them that they're off the hook for that? To grant them a pardon? See, that's not what forgiveness is all about, but that's a common misconception. And it makes it harder for people to do it. I'm remembering one of my early clients. This is in the first half of my career. Those of you who have followed me for a while, you'll know that I've split my career basically in 2 15-year halves, where the first half was traditional psychotherapy, and then the second half has been positive psychology coaching. And it was in that first half when I had a client, her name is Brenda, and she was coming to see me for some severe depression that she was experiencing. At the time, being a single mom, she was very stressed. She was severely overweight, and her depression was just crushing her. Well, as I got to know her, I came to find out that she had been abused as a child. And this is a fairly common scenario, but her stepfather had abused her for a period of 8 years, from the time she was 8 till she was 16. And that's not okay. There's so many things that I hate about abuse. But without getting off into that, there came a time in our counseling together where I knew that forgiveness was one of the things that would help her. And so I introduced that idea. Well, she almost came unglued as she angrily responded, Dr. Paul, he never even acknowledged that it was wrong. She was unwilling to even consider forgiveness because in her mind it meant that she would be granting him a pardon or saying that it was okay. Those 2 common misconceptions that we've covered already. For me to ask her to forgive has nothing to do with him, but we'll get to that in just a minute. It has to do with freeing her up. And she wasn't willing to do that because of the misconception. As long as it means saying that he's off the hook, I'm not willing to go there. He didn't even apologize. He never even acknowledged that it happened or that it was wrong. And this leads me right into the 3rd misconception. Forgiveness means allowing myself to continue to be hurt. It can't be that either. It's not okay for people to hurt us and for us to put ourselves in position where we continue to be hurt. That's not what forgiveness is all about. If forgiveness means that I remain in harm's way, then count me out. I'm not going to do it. Let me just push the pause button for a moment. Would you just take a minute to share this video with them? I'll bet they'll appreciate it. Let's see if we can improve their life too. Okay, so if forgiveness is not saying that it was okay, forgiveness is not granting a pardon to someone for their own misdeeds, and forgiveness is not allowing ourselves to continue being hurt, then let's try on this alternative for a minute. Forgiveness is giving up our demand for a better past. I like to phrase it that way because it calls to mind a particular truth. And the truth is, you can't change the past. The past is what it is, and it's gone now. In fact, I believe that the past doesn't even exist except in our current thinking about it. When we look at it that way, it creates some new possibilities. If your only route to peace and freedom is for you to have a better past, you're stuck. Now, you can reframe or rethink your past in a way that it becomes less troubling to you. But that's not the focus of today's topic. Forgiveness is letting go of it, saying it is what it is. It could have been better. It could have been worse. But giving up our demand that it be better frees us up to do a different kind of thinking now. And that's where our power is. Now I'm going to get really radical with you and throw out a whole new concept. What it is, including what it has been and what your past actually is, becomes the launching point for where you're going. It's kind of like a load of bricks. This actually happened to a friend of mine where someone had dumped a load of bricks on his front lawn. I don't know if it was from a wheelbarrow or a trailer or something. They just dumped these bricks out on his front lawn, trying to ditch him, I guess, or littering. Well, that upset him at first until he realized, wait a minute, bricks are construction material, aren't they? And he actually needed to make a little retaining wall for part of his garden out back, and those bricks were actually repurposed to become part of the new wall that he built. Whatever life drops in your lap is the construction material that you get to use moving forward. And what it is all you've got. By definition, I don't mean it's all you could have. That's a whole other conversation as well. But it's all you've got by definition. So what if we were to take whatever life just dropped in our lap and use that as the construction material for moving forward? Allowing this idea to have a little space in your mind will help you to give up your demand for a better past, because your past is exactly what you need to now go create your future. If this is resonating with you, I think you're really going to love my book, and I would be happy to put a copy of this book into your hands. I'll pay for the production of the book. You pay for the shipping. Sound like a good deal? Go to the URL on the screen right now, drpauljenkins.com/free book. That's not too hard to remember. If you'll just remember my name, drpauljenkins.com/free book. You pay for the shipping, I'll pay for the book, and I'll put this in your hands. You can learn more about the concepts that we're talking about here today on this video. And stick around, there's more to come.